Hello friends and welcome to my YouTube channel Sync Ventures. Hope you all had a nice Christmas and soon we are approaching New Year. In this video, I'm going to explain how to use MicrosoftGraph in SPFX, that is SharePoint Development Framework. As usual, I'll give first the demo of the app. I have created some prerequisites and some of the simple steps we need to do in the console, and then a good code overview of what we need to do. The app I have created, it will list down all the teams you have joined with the ID and the names. So let's have a look onto the app first, and then we will go through the prerequisites. So this is the app I have created, which is very basic in nature. I have not done a lot of work on the UI part, but as you can see, I display some text here and the team one ID, the name, team two, and I have joined 9 teams. So that's why it is displaying all the 9. So the idea is to show you how you can call Graph API in our SPFX web part and then display the information you need. This can be extended further to a lot of other scenarios. As you know, the MicrosoftGraph is very powerful and can do a lot of stuff and can also get you a lot of information from Microsoft World. So let's have a look on the prerequisites. If you are new to the programming world in the Microsoft 365 developer, then you need a Microsoft 365 developer account, which can be easily accessed, which you can get easily from as free, And we of course use Visual Studio Code or any other IDE. In this case, I'm always using Visual Studio Code. You need to have Node.js installed, Git installation, and SPFX development setup, which has been explained in very detailed on this URL. I'm not going to go in that. You can look at my other previous videos where I've explained this in a bit detail. So what are the simple steps we need to do? Basically, we need a folder where we will create our app, right? So we will create a folder using md spfx-graphAPI. That's the name of the folder. Then we will go to the folder and we will use Yeoman SharePoint Framework Generator, which basically creates the scaffold of a SharePoint Framework app. And this is all covered in the prerequisites part where I gave you the link about how to set up your developer setup for Office 365 development, So let's have a look onto the steps also here. So I have already a Node.js here and I am in a folder called apps. So I will say md spfx graph API 2, and then I can get into that folder as I explained before, and then we will use yo @ Microsoft SharePoint. So I'm calling the Microsoft generator, Yeoman generator, to create a scaffold for my app or the web part, and I'm using Node.js console in this case. You can use other consoles also to achieve the same, but I prefer Node.js. It works pretty good. So it will start and I'll ask you some questions. And that question answer has been explained here in my slides also, that basically you need the solution name, whether you want or the app to be available immediately, and what type of client-side component. There are different other types of components you can create, but in this case, we are using web part. You need to give a name of the web part. In this case, I've given spgraph-API. And in this case, we are not using any JavaScript framework. So I'm saying no JavaScript framework. So let's go back and see if it has. So you can see now it has asked me the questions, right? So what is your solution name? It is already suggesting me a name, which I will accept. And we are going to do SharePoint Online only, which is this app will only work on SharePoint Online and not on 2016 or 19. Use the current folder. And then I'll say yes to this, that it should be available. And it will require API permission. So we will say yes to this also. Web part. What is your web part name? spfx-graphAPI Graph API 2. Sorry, I read it wrong, doesn't matter. Description. And now no JavaScript framework. You can see we have two options. Either we can use JavaScript, JavaScript framework or React. In this case, I'm going to use no JavaScript framework. And this will actually create the scaffolding. This can take a while, so I'm not going to go through in this, show you this, but at the end, you will get a message that the scaffolding has been created successfully. If you don't get that, then your Yeoman generator has some issues and you need to fix that first. Okay, let's go back to the slides. Once that is done, we would also need to run npm install at the Microsoft slash Microsoft Graph types. This will help us in during the development period that we will have type declarations for Microsoft Graph, which means that you will be able to use IntelliSense in the Microsoft Visual Code. Otherwise you have to write and you don't know if you're writing correct or not. So I think this is the best to do if you need to do that. If you need to use IntelliSense, okay. So let's have a look if it has finished. It has not finished, so I'm not going to bother about that one. I'm already here in an earlier project I have created for this particular video. But before that, I'm going to show you some of the code changes we need to do and what are the things we need to do. Okay. So let's get started. Um, the first thing is that in the config folder, um, maybe I can show you the whole structure first. So this is the structure created. We have the config, dist, library, node modules, where all the node modules are. So SharePoint, where the package is created, the source where we have the actual code here, and there are a lot of JSON configuration files which we can change to. The first thing we are going to do is package solution.json. Here we need, whenever we are using Microsoft Graph, it is important that we give access to the resource we need. In this case, I have given myself access to calendar, people, user, group. In this case, we are using teams, which means that we need actually only this one. But I have given others also because I will be extending this web part to further. But if you don't need the others, you can remove it also. It is advisable to use only the resource which you need in your web part, and don't overdo with a lot of other permissions which you do not need in the app. Then the most important file in this case is that webpart.ts file under the source folder, and this is where we will write most of the code. So if we look into that, first thing we need to add is these two lines. Basically, we are saying that we are importing Graph client from Microsoft SP HTTP, and these are already available in the node modules we have installed with our Yeoman generator, and also Microsoft Graph from Microsoft Graph types, which we also installed for IntelliSense, right? So that is what we will do. Then in the, as you know, in the SPFX app, the most important method is the public render, which that is where the app will render. In this case, you can see we have written this code, this dot context of factory. It is trying to get the client, and then it will call the API. Here I have called me join teams, right? Basically, it will give me all the teams which I have joined as a user. So basically, if you add it on the SPF, this web part on a SharePoint page, the user who is logged in, all the teams which he is joined will be displayed. And we are trying to only select the ID and the display name. You can select other things also if you need to. And then we are trying to get the response collected in this, which is a team call. Actually, this is just a name. You can have any name here. And here we are setting the inner HTML with some div class. The style we are taking from the style we already have here as a default, web part. So we are not putting any style. As I said, I have not put any effort on doing styling in this web part. This is just to show you how to get Microsoft Graph. And welcome to Sync with SharePoint. So these are some pre-remind, and we have a sp-list container created, which is like a table which you can use to display the information, which will be filling up, later. And we have called a method render teams joined, and we have passed the value which we got the from our graph API call, right? And dot value is important. You need to call that. So basically, this method will now, process the um, uh, data we get it. And here you can see that it is passed as a um, map actually in here, and then we can get the messages dot length, basically a for loop, to iterate through, because there will be more than one teams a person will be joined, so we have to iterate through. And then we are saying styles dot description team index plus one, which is that index 1 2 3, like team 1 2 3, and then messages index dot id, which will display the id, you know of that particular team, and the display name. So as you remember, we got two things from our um, graph API calls. That was id and display name, and that is what I'm trying to display here. And at the end, we add the teams to the placeholder to the splist container, which we created in the render HTML, and that's it. This will should do the trick for you. Um, before after you have written all these codes, what we need to also do is to gulp, bundle, and ship the package so that we can upload it to the SharePoint. So let's do that. So you need to be in the folder where you need to the folder of the app actually. Sorry. So this will not take a lot of time. Basically, it will, build my app, and then it will get ready to ship, and then we will create a package. As you know, each web part or SPFX web part will be created as a package, and then it needs to be uploaded to our tenant. So now I'm doing the package solution, and you can see done, all done, everything is done. So basically, it is created under SharePoint, and this is the package you can see. You can also look in the folder structure here under SharePoint solution, and then we have this package, and this is the package we need to upload. So let's have a look. So I have already opened the admin center here, and so for more features, you can actually go to apps, app catalog. As for SharePoint, so I have already uploaded it, but I will just upload it one more time to show you. And okay. And then you need to make sure that you have checked this, make this solution available to all the sites. Otherwise, all the sites will not be able to, use this. And also, as it's saying, please go to the API management, because we are asking for these access. So it needs to be explicitly approved by the tenant admin or the SharePoint admin. Otherwise, it will not work. So we will say deploy. And now it is deployed. When you deploy for the second or the third time, basically not from the first, you have to do a check-in. So don't forget to do that. And once that is done, it is okay. Now, if you go back to the SharePoint Admin Center, the API approval needs to be done from Advanced API Access. And here you will see that we might have some pending requests. In this case, it is not here because I have already approved it before. But once you approve it, you will see it here, like this. Once that is done, you can basically your app is ready to be used, So everything is done. There's nothing more to be done for this. So let's have a look onto the app as I showed before. What you need to do is just you need to create a page. So let's go to new page. create page, and spfx-graphAPI sample. And now you can see the app is loading the information as I showed you before. And it will take automatically the site's theming and everything because we are because it has taken from the site, So I do need to publish it. It's okay. If you want to debug this or continue developing this, what you can also do is in your sorry, not here, uh, serve.json. Here you can put your workbench, URL, and then basically you can do gulp serve. So this will open the local workbench of your tenant, and then you will be able to, um, do the changes and see it right away. So you don't have to upload it every time. Um, so let's see. Yeah. So now you can here see the same information is also displayed here through my workbench. In this case, you can see the theming is different. It takes the theming of the workbench automatically. And now what you can do is you can actually change the code here and save it, and it will compile it again here, and then you will be able to see your change directly in the workbench. So you don't have to upload the package file every time to see the changes. And once you are done with the changes, then you have to re-upload your package and do the steps again. So that is how it will be done. So yeah, that was it for the whole explanation. The source code of this web part is also available on my GitHub, which I'll be sharing in the description of my YouTube channel also. So, and I think this is a great example to show you how to use Microsoft Graph. Basically, it's a very basic thing which I have done to show you how you can call a Microsoft Graph from SharePoint Framework and get the values and process it to display some information. It can be extended, as I said before, it can be extended further to different other things. So yeah, so give me feedback if you want to ask questions, or if you need some more explanation on the source code, or if you need some help, please comment in my YouTube video, or connect with me on Twitter and LinkedIn. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Sing Ventures. Okay. Thank you. Bye.